I love these little neighborhood libraries. I don't know if you have anywhere you are, but they're really cool. You can just take a book. If you want to donate a book, you can donate a book. I got The Fault in Our Stars here, which I'm gonna start reading this month. Hello everyone, it's Cherie, and this is my February 2026 wrap-up vlog, where I go over all the media I consumed in the month of February. But before we get into that, let me just tell you, February was a rough month. It started off with my mom going to the ER and having to spend the night in the hospital. Then that very same week, my company had a reorganization and massive layoffs. I was one of the people laid off. I still have a couple months of severance coming to me, so it's, I'm okay right now, but, it's stressful thinking of what's going to be my next income stream. If I could sell Dumpster Donna, of course, I would be fine. I did submit to 4 more companies via the virtual pitch fest, and this time I targeted companies that had 3 specific things. One, they were looking for comedies, they were looking for female-driven scripts, and they were looking for social justice scripts, because I figure, environmental activism and saving the planet is kind of a social justice kind of thing. I got one back that said, no thanks, but we encourage you to keep pitching this project. And yeah, I'm just waiting to hear back from the other 3. And then I signed up again for IMDb Pro because they wanted me back. So they're giving me a free month. So I can go online and research companies that, are into causes, that might be a good fit for Dumpster Donna. And that way, by using IMDb Pro, I can get all the contact information for the companies. So I'll be doing that in March. But back to February. So because I was laid off, I had to get all the stuff done. There's a lot of paperwork and stuff, but also I made an appointment for new reading glasses. So I went into the optometrist. I just got those. They're very nice. They're like computer reading glasses. So depending on how far away your computer is, they kind of measured that, and they're really good. And then I went to the dentist, and unfortunately, I had to have another crown. This is my 3rd crown. So that was an added expense I was not expecting or did not look forward to. That was about $900 with the insurance. So I was just trying to get all of that stuff taken care of. I had to take my mom to the doctor and help her with this medical placement device and, getting her prescriptions and stuff. Now, my cousin had recommended that I try to apply for the in-home service provider, caregiver positions. You can be a family member to do that, and you get paid to do that. So it's like a government thing or a state thing. Anyway, I am going to look into that because I don't want to take a job that's going to take me away from my mom for long periods of time at this point, because she is 91 years old. And, it was just really scary when she went to the ER. So, and we're still waiting to hear back from one of the tests that she took just to see how things are going with her. And because of all these things, I did not work a lot on Project Santa Cruz, which is now stressing me out a little because I need to start the crowdfunding. So I have to work really hard on it for the next few days because I still don't know, what the budget is. This is the same thing that happened with the 99%, but this one's going to be a lot easier to deal with. So I'm confident that I can actually get a budget and get the crowdfunding thing going. Yeah, so anyway, let's talk about some nice stuff. Let's talk about the media I consumed in the month of February. I did not read any books, and I feel so badly because I really want to finish Kate Kavanaugh's Thanks for Watching, the arc that was sent to me, and I just, have not made the time for that with everything that's been going on. But hopefully this month. I did read some screenplays though, because every year I make it a point to read all the screenplays that were nominated for a Best Original Screenplay Oscar. So I read Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. And of the 5, if I were a voting member of the Academy, I would give the Oscar to Sinners. It's just a really tight script. And this, it's amazing because this movie did a lot of unique things. But one thing that's going to stick around for a while is that one scene. So if you say that one scene, and you've seen the movie Sinners, you know what scene they're talking about. It's like, it's a catchphrase for that scene, and it's a montage. It's a musical montage, and it happens in the screenplay on page 63, and I'm going to read you how it was written. Surreal montage starts. The music shifts. Sammy closes his eyes and enters into a trance, playing wildly. We rotate around him to reveal a Senegalese kalam player in traditional African dress who stares at Sammy while playing his instrument in unison. This is a spirit, an ancestor visible to us, the audience, but not to Sammy and the other patrons of the juke. We rotate around to reveal a 1970s black guitarist playing psychedelic rock. We rotate past Pearline to show 2 spirits surrounding her, one from the past, one from the present. We push up to Delta Slim to find him eyes closed and playing, surrounded by 2 ancestors. Griots, one past, one future, a disc jockey spinning from the 1980s. We track back to the dance floor to find it populated with more ancestors, all of the current day patrons in a trance, their eyes still closed. We find Grace in the kitchen, who takes us to the gambling room, where she pulls Bo away from the gambling tables and back onto the dance floor, where a past ancestor, a Zali dancer in full dress, does a traditional dance, next to future ancestor, who does Memphis juking. A modern dancer leads us back to Sammy, who kicks his singing up to another level. Burning embers and debris fall down around him. We tilt the camera up to reveal the source of the debris. The ceiling of the mill is ablaze, with growing gaps exposing the inky, star-filled sky beyond. We tilt back down and reveal the crowd, still dancing, and the blaze has engulfed the walls. So that one scene, there it is. What wasn't in the script, though, was they also included a Chinese opera dancer, because you had the Chinese couple that were also at the juke joint. So that is in the film, but it's not in the script. But I thought that was a good addition in the film as well. All right, and let's see, I did not watch any series. So let's get right to the movies. So I rewatched 6 movies in February, and I don't do a lot of rewatches in general. I still have like 990 films on my watch list, so I always try to watch new ones. However, sometimes you just need a comfort film. Sometimes you want to rewatch stuff that you know is going to make you happy. So I rewatched these 6 films. Now, my least favorite was Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? And I rewatched it because it had won an Oscar for Best Original Screenplay, and I'm going through all those. And I wanted a refresher because I wasn't sure I'd remembered it all, and I wanted to see it before I read the script. It was a very important film for its time. I believe it came out in 1967. It takes place in San Francisco, where people are a little more liberal, but due to the times, it was a major film because you have a white woman bringing a black man home to meet the parents, telling them that they are going to get married. And it's kind of like the reverse Get Out. It's not a horror. It has a nice happy ending. But the reason it was my least favorite was because it's like a play. I don't think it did originate from a play, but it could very well be one. It was just so talky. Talky. And I like my cinema to be, visual. But anyway, it's, like I said, it's a culturally significant movie, and it was good to watch it again. And next I watched The Marvels and Megan 2.0, both films that were critically panned, but that I really enjoyed, so I don't care. Guilty pleasures, let's just call them. All right, and then I watched Freaky Friday and The Princess Diaries. And I watched Freaky Friday, the Lindsay Lohan version, not the Jodie Foster version. Actually, I watched that one too, but it wasn't as good. The one with Jodie Foster and Jamie Lee Curtis was great. And I watched that because I also watched Freaky Friday 2. So I wanted to refresh my memory on the original before I watched the sequel. As for The Princess Diaries, I watched that because I'm doing some research on Julie Andrews. So probably in March I will be watching about 4 or 5 more movies that star Julie Andrews, just for this research I'm doing. And then I also rewatched Sinners. And in my book, it's a solid 4 out of 5 stars. There's this one scene. This is, and it was in the script, and it's in the movie, and it's an exchange of spit. And I don't like that stuff. I don't like bodily fluid stuff. I don't like stuff where there's animal abuse. Those are the kind of films that, they will not get 5 out of 5 stars. So I'm not sure whether I will watch Sinners again in the future. Or if I do, I'm just gonna have to fast forward through that scene. I closed my eyes this time because I knew what was gonna happen. Because when I saw it in the theater, it also disgusted me. Why do people put that stuff in movies? It's not attractive. I also watched 2 movies that took place in Africa that were memoirs or memories from young white girls that lived in Africa. I think one was part of a colonization family, and the other was a Jewish family escaping the Nazis. So the first one was called Chocolat, not to be confused with the Johnny Depp, Juliette Binoche movie from 2000, I think. Loved that movie. But I also love Chocolat, which was from 1988 and directed by Claire Denis. Claire Denis is the same filmmaker who made Beau Travail, the movie I love so much. And I did enjoy this movie also. And the other movie was called Nowhere in Africa, and it won an Oscar for Best International Feature. So I'm also trying to watch all of those. And it was just interesting that they were both kind of about these young girls running around in Africa, being friends with all the African people, and not really fitting in with their European families so much. I would recommend both the films. And then I did watch 2 other movies from 2025 that didn't get any Oscar nominations, but I'd heard they were really good. One is called Good News. It's a Korean thriller. It's on Netflix, and it's based on a true hijacking story from the 70s, I think. Anyway, totally recommend that. And then Twinless, which was co-produced written, directed, and co-starring the actor whose name I forgot, the creator whose name I forgot. I'll put it right here. And it's about two guys that go to this support group for people who have lost a twin. And there are lots of cool twists in the story. So I recommend that one as well. All right, and now let's move on to the catch-up films. These are the movies that I've heard a lot about and just have never seen, starting with Love and Basketball. And I so enjoyed this. I believe it's in the Criterion Collection. Yes, I thought it was wonderful. Lovely film about these two young kids that grow up and play basketball together and then get into a relationship. And, it's a romance story. But when I went online to see past reviews, people were calling this movie toxic. And yeah, the male character is toxic towards the female character. But it's so real, because basically when women start gaining notoriety and are being really good in their field, and they put their career ahead of just hanging out or whatever, it really makes men insecure, and they don't like it, and there are fights and there are breakups, and I just totally believed the story. And I know that the writer-director, it was based on her experiences, so yeah, but it's a romance, everything works out in the end. So yeah, I liked Love and Basketball. And finally, James Bond. Netflix put the entire series on the platform, and I have big gaps in my James Bond knowledge. My James Bond was Roger Moore back in the day, A View from a Kill. Remember that one, seeing that in theaters a couple times. Yeah, so anyway, I started from the top. I've seen the first 5. These are starring Sean Connery. I saw, actually, Dr. No was in January, but then the other 4 I saw in February. I have to say, I enjoyed Dr. No and From Russia with Love, the first 2, more than the next 3. And Goldfinger, I mean, it has lots of classic lines and visuals you remember, and it's kind of considered the gold standard, but that's where the James Bond misogyny really starts rearing its ugly head. So yeah, whatever. But I'm gonna keep watching them all. Hopefully Netflix will have it on the platform for a long time, because there are 36 movies in the series? There are a lot. And I guess I could skip the ones I've already seen, but I kind of would like to go in order and just see the progression. So that'll take me many months. And I did hear back from Harvard finally about the list. I'm going to make a video about the list, and I'll put in exactly what they said. But basically it was like, hey, that list isn't public anymore. And it was for the students. It was for an exam for students getting their PhD. So I don't think they were too happy that I was asking questions about it. But it's a great list, and why not share wonderful films with the world, and what kind of film background you're expected to have if you're gonna go for a PhD in film, right? Anyway, so yeah, so that's it for February. Hopefully March will be a lot easier. And hopefully I will get the Project Santa Cruz crowdfunding thing up and running. So that's it for today's vlog. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.